going to be reading chapter 3 of Rubbish Town Hero. So, let's get started. Chapter 3. Cheapo walked alone on the road near the gates to the old dump. The procession of dustbin lorries churned the dust into the air so that their headlights looked as though they were cutting through a thick fog. Cheapo pulled his t-shirt over his mouth and nose so he could breathe. Then, when he was sure he was alone in the perfect blackness between lorries, he scrambled up the bank beside the road. On the other side of the bank, the ground was bare and burned, blasted full of holes and craters where bombs and mines had gone off in the war. Cheapo picked his way over hummocks and mounds and old holes. About 100 metres from the road, he disappeared into a crater, like a stone dropped into a black pool. At the bottom of the crater was a circle of yellow candlelight, and at the edge of the circle sat Cheapo's sister, Gentle. She was smaller than Cheapo and never seemed to grow much. She'd been born with a split in her top lip and the roof of her mouth, what people call a cleft palate, although Cheapo and Gentle didn't know that. They just called it a split face. It made eating difficult for Gentle, and she often got sick, but she was tough and never complained. All day she worked washing out old rubbish bags in the river on the edge of the new dump, and now she was counting her earnings by candlelight, 1 penny for every 100 bags she washed. She grinned up at him. "Hello, Cheapo," she said, although it sounded more like, "Hello, Theepo." Cheapo hardly noticed the funny way Gentle talked, or how her face looked, but other people did. They laughed at the weird way she spoke. They said cruel things, even through stones. So Cheapo and Gentle lived out here where there weren't any people. When Gentle went to work, she wrapped her face in a bandage and talked as little as possible. All the same, Cheapo worried about her and was always glad to see she'd come home safe. Gentle opened her hand to show the new coins in her palm. 5 more pennies, she said proudly, then tipped them into the rusty little tin box where she kept her most precious things. All her savings, a tiny doll made of sticks with a rag dress, and a blue glass bead that Gentle said had been their mother's, although Cheapo wasn't sure that was true. 5 more pennies, she said again. "Soon I'll have enough to go to Happy Splitface Land, and I can be happy, and we can go to school." Cheapo didn't say what he thought, which was, "There's no such place," or "We don't need to go to school." It was no good, because Gentle would just stick her nose in the air and say what she always said. "I know there is such a place, and we do need to go to school." And she'd show him for the millionth time the scrap of newspaper with the picture of the split-faced children on it. The picture showed the same 2 children twice, once with their split faces and once with their split faces somehow magically mended. They grinned into the camera. Proof, Gentle said, that there really was a place where children with faces like hers could be mended, made just like other children. A special hospital, perhaps, with very clever doctors, she called it, Happy Splitface Land, and to Gentle it was a real place that one day she would go to and be mended like the children in her picture. Cheapo suspected that the printed words around the picture might prove that there was no such place, or it was so far away that it was impossible to get to. But as neither he nor his sister could read, this just proved the other part of Gentle's argument, that they should both go to school and learn to read. So there was nothing to be done about it. He didn't really mind. It kept Gentle happy and left him free to be the man of the family and make proper important plans. So he told her, "Well done, little sis, 500 bags in one day. You must be hungry, eh?" Gentle nodded. She sat back and watched Cheapo pull the sandwich out from his sack, like a conjurer doing an especially good trick. "Sandwiches," he told her, "and in a special shaped box." Solemnly, Gentle took the triangular box from Cheapo. "We can have 1 each," he told her, but Gentle shook her head. "Half now, half in the morning." Cheapo's stomach hurt. He was so hungry. He wanted to take a whole sandwich and jam it into his mouth all at once, but he knew Gentle was right. She was sensible about some things. She watched quietly as she put 1 sandwich into the broken plastic box they called the larder, and laid the other on their 1 small chipped plate, and then placed this carefully on the upturned crate they called the table. She broke the sandwich into 2 pieces and gave the biggest one to Cheapo. Eat it slow, she told him. Make it last. Cheapo grinned at her and finished it in 2 bites. No time for slow eating tonight, he said, licking his fingers. Superhero Cheapo has a special mission. Gentle rolled her eyes. Cheapo ignored his little sister's lack of respect and went on. I found a TV today at the old dump. I hid it and marked the place so I can go back and get it tonight. I can trade it for a tin roof to keep us dry in the rainy season. Gentle was not impressed. Not at all. Have you gone crazy? She said. If Papa Fudu finds out you took something from his dump, you'll be in big trouble. He won't find out, Cheapo shrugged, as if he wasn't concerned at all. Anyway, you think he got his big house by obeying the rules? He stood up and slung his bag over his shoulder, but Gentle wasn't finished. How will you get through the fence? Hey, this is Cheapo you're talking to, he swaggered. I know where there's a hole. And what about the guards and the guard dogs? Oh, those, that's just a story to scare people. There's no guards at the old dump, and the dogs all died years ago. Cheapo grinned his most confident grin. It'll be fine, and we'll have a roof in time for the rainy season. Gentle leaped to her feet and pulled him back towards her. If you're going, I'm coming with you, she said. Her chin stuck out and her eyes blazed. Okay, Cheapo said. When Gentle got that cross, there was no point trying to argue with her. He sighed. His sister was really nothing like her name. And that's the end of chapter 3. I'll see you next time for chapter 4. Bye!